Do that. So anyway, so I'm very excited to be opening at the studio. It'll probably be done next week. I thought I was going to be doing this Zoom from my cell phone because just 2 days ago we didn't even have Wi-Fi. So I'm really really excited to be here. Palm Springs, it is the my sister's lived here for 20 years, the same 20 years I lived in Hollywood. But the community's really changed a lot. There's a lot of production going on here. There's a lot of television stuff going on here. I think with COVID in the rear view mirror, there's going to be a lot of opportunities here for my education for the drone stuff. Worked out really good is that I teach at Grossmont College in San Diego, I teach at LA Tech in LA, and I teach out in Phoenix. And Palm Springs is in the middle. It's like right there. And last but not least, with the Palm Springs story, I work with Al Gore on the Climate Reality Project, and for the last 5 years, I've been documenting the Salton Sea with my drone. So I know a lot about the area. I found all the really cool places to fly and film. So it's really exciting for me, and it's an exciting move. So hopefully you enjoy the disco lights. I'll try to add music later to put really everybody in the mood. But my journey in drones started in 2013 when I met the founders for DJI at a trade show called NAB, National Association of Broadcasters in Vegas, and they were in the international section, and they're just the little 5x10 table that they give the international distributors with behind them like 30 boxes of DJI Phantoms, the very first one. So I talked to the guys and said, "What is this?" And they were trying to explain to me what it was. Oh, it's a helicopter, it's a quadcopter, it's a drone thing. And they didn't have cameras or anything like that. So I thought, well, I'm a filmmaker, and I got these little GoPros. Maybe I'll just stick it on the bottom. And so they gave me one. They actually gave me one right there. So talked them into giving them one. And obviously, there was no YouTube videos on drone flying. There was nothing about nobody's ever seen one before. So I kept, obviously, I didn't know how to fly one. It was hilarious. There was no monitor. There was no GPS. The freaking thing was all over the place. But a buddy of mine is a stunt coordinator. He teaches at Keanu Reeves' stunt school, 8711 in Hollywood. And so he was doing a sci-fi movie, one of those low budget ones, and had told the director about the drone. So we brought it in and up in the Los Angeles forest, and I shot with this thing, and it was 5 minutes of battery time. It was flying into the stuntman. It was just a nightmare. The director was going nuts because the drone kept crashing into his shot, but fate would have it that one of the executive producers at Sci-Fi was there and thought it was the coolest thing he ever saw, and we started incorporating it into other low budget projects. And then it's kind of the rest is history, right? DJI came out with the DJI 3 that had the gimbal and a decent camera. Then they went to 4K. And then I actually started using the drones in a lot of TV commercials, music videos, cinematography, low budget shoots, because where they couldn't afford the helicopters. And then I started teaching just by the nature of the business. You always have interns. So I started showing other cameramen how to use the drone. And then one of my crews ended up being on Fear the Walking Dead. So that was basically just blasted me right into the education part. And then the rest happened at the Interdrone that you were at. I was doing a seminar there, and the guys from Unmanned Vehicle University, which is Stampede, they saw the seminar and said, "Look, we we got all these military guys, teaching drone pilots, and it's really, they don't need to know how to fire missiles. They need to know how to use the cameras." So they brought me on, and I became an instructor out there in Phoenix. And they certified me in everything. I learned cell phone tower inspection, solar inspection, power line inspection, building inspection, so I could teach some of the institutional industrial clients that they had. But still, obviously, my love is TV and film. And then LA Tech found me, and then Grossmont found me. So now I've been teaching basically for 4 years, and I've graduated 550 students, 99.9%, 107 pass rate, 40%. And that's why I love working with women in drones. For whatever reason, 40% of my students are female. My students range from college age 18 always up to 82.
Awesome.
And it's obviously extremely diverse. It's everybody. So it's been really, I've made a lot more money in television and film over the years than I have teaching. But I got to tell you, however corny, whatever it sounds, it's very fulfilling. It really is. Making less money and then passing it on in this day and age is really something I enjoy. So I really, really enjoy teaching. And the college must have recognized that, because I won an award as Teacher of the Year. Just like they just gave me an award at Grossmont College. It's really nice. It's really beautiful award. I haven't, obviously none of the awards are up yet. So that was unexpected and unusual, but I just really enjoy it. So that's the background. I mean, that's pretty much the the 2 minute version in 10 minutes, I guess.
Oh, well, congratulations for the recognition. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
And so you're being recognized for all the great things that you are out there doing. So uh, I have to say, who doesn't like the whole Hollywood thing? How fun is that? And to be in on the beginning of it, and sharing, having the opportunity. Thank you for sharing some of the drones and the recklessness that I know comes with it in the beginning and how things have come along. That's fantastic. And now look at you now. You have a new studio.
Yeah, this is during the pandemic, the production stopped, and as it started up again, you needed to get like you actually had to have a COVID medical person on the set, and you had to do testing, so it was very expensive to get starting up. So a lot of the production work, the companies that I work for, the small, I work for mostly the smaller boutique studios that do TV commercials and music videos and things like that. So they all shut down. So I haven't done. I have a project coming up in a couple of months, but I haven't done like a legit film project probably in 16 months, 18 months. Up until then, my time was evenly split between education, usually 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and film and video. So I was working on and I don't, my background is basically a director of photography. So, usually a director of photography would either have a camera on a tripod or a camera on her shoulder. So pretty much at the beginning of my career, that's what I was doing. And then I graduated, I really got into the action sports and the stunt photography stuff. So I started working with GoPro back at the beginning also, and figuring out ways to put GoPros on everything, right? On the end of guns for, shootouts, on boats, on motorcycles, and on possibly everything, everything that I could figure out how to put it on. I was second unit on the second Fast and Furious. I've done stuff for HBO Sopranos, but it was interesting because there's a million camera guys out there with a camera on their shoulder or a camera on a tripod. So I found that doing the action camera sequences was very specialized, and there wasn't a lot of people doing it. Initially, you have to do it. Like if you have to know how to ride a jet ski. I have a background in professional jet ski racing. You have to know how to ride a boat. You have to know how to ride a motorcycle. You have to know how to fly an airplane or get in a helicopter. So a lot of people don't want to do those things. So the ability that I didn't have an issue doing those things and mounting cameras, it really led me down the path to do the stuff with drones. So as soon as I got hardcore into the drone production, probably when the Mavic 2 Pro came out, when the Phantom 4 Pro came out with the 1 inch sensor, that changed everything and allowed drone cinematographers in the mid level, like the people that could afford $1,800, actually, no, it's a lot, but to be able to shoot movie quality, video and television with that 4K 1 inch sensor changed everything. And it allowed me to do almost all my production and all my jobs with just drones. So I have an agent because everybody in Hollywood has an agent, right? You have an agent, you have a publicist, it's Hollywood, right? So um, I haven't been booking. I told her not to book any jobs that I actually have to put a camera on a tripod or a camera on my shoulder. So currently I've turned those jobs down. And I only do jobs that allow me to put the drones in the air and film with drones. And because it's very exciting, drones shoot in 3D space. It's very similar to playing a video game, and almost every time you put it up there, you find another creative way to do it. So I was, I don't say I was bored with my career, but I probably figured out every possible way to mount a GoPro, like cats, dogs, just putting it on everything. So I was over and done with that. I did everything I could with a camera. So now with a drone, though, literally, there's thousands of ways to combine all kinds of different shots. So it's really exciting. Every time I fly, it's super exciting. It's a great time.
So when you started, you were doing like the jet ski and the sports activities. And did you put a GoPro on that? What type of GoPro?
Yeah. I was the 1992 national jet ski champion. So I was a professional. I did that for about 7 years till I got hurt in a jet ski accident at a pro am celebrity charity event. And my claim to fame is the pro that hit me was Rob Van Winkle, better known as Vanilla Ice Ice Baby. He was a really good motocross racer, not so good a jet ski racer. And we did a celebrity event up in Pensacola, and he basically went the wrong way in the course and hit me at about 65 and broke both my hips. So I have two artificial hips. I have artificial thigh bone, and it took me probably a year plus to rehab and maybe a half a dozen surgeries. I got my last surgery about, I guess, 10 years ago. He knocked me so far out of the jet ski industry right into television. So
Very
that's
cool.
how my career started. Yeah, I started working with the ESPN guys that were filming the jet ski races. So that's how I actually got started in television.
Well, that's exhilarating, just doing the sports aspect. And now you're into Hollywood and the whole scene there. It's all very exciting. I think you live a pretty glamorous life.
Oh, it's certainly a lot of fun and it's different every day. I mean, there's days that are really great, like today's a really great day. And there's days that, I tell my students that when you go out in the field, anything and everything will go wrong. Just anticipate that it's going to go wrong so that you sort of have a way to figure it out when it does go wrong. So when you're doing a lot, I directed the Wango Tango concert for anybody from California at Dodger Stadium. So that's when all the celebrity performers, like I've worked with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, the Bee Gees, Wayne Newton. So when you're directing these multi-live concert events that I've done like four of them, three of them, and you basically learn that anything can go wrong at any time. So that's what makes it exciting, though. It's adrenaline rush, right? So you get out there, and then with the drones, they are so unpredictable that even adds a whole other layer of, oh my God, what's going to happen today when I'm out in the field flying?
Yes. So, what productions are you currently working on?
Well, I've worked with this electronic violinist. She travels the world. Her name is Esther Anaya. She's really big in breast cancer awareness. She's done major concerts that I filmed for her, 15,000, 20,000 people. So she wants to do her next video out in the desert. At night, and so I got in the night wave and I got night certified. Um, and of course, now you don't need to do that anymore. If you take the 107 test, it's built in. And then I started an advanced night photography flight class for my graduated students. And we went out to Borrego Springs, which is a desert out in the desert in California, where they have these giant sculptures. And I was teaching people how to fly and film at night specifically so I could build up a crew because we're going to shoot this with like 5 to 6 drones. And we're going to bring her out into the desert and we're going to light it up at night. And we're going to film this, her newest song for worldwide distribution. So that'll be my next thing. And then I hope to restart. I was just the producer for Sunset Confidential was here yesterday, and we hope to restart that. And that's sort of a crime drama thing set in Hollywood. But apparently, since the producer moved out here, also, I think they're going to shift some of the storyline to Palm Springs, which ends up being really great for me. So I'm going to work on that. And then, of course, I got a couple TV commercials coming up. I do a lot of stuff for BMW. So hopefully we'll get a lot of car commercials are shot with drones. So nowadays, so hopefully we'll get started up with that.
So, is there a lot of filming opportunities there in Palm Springs?
Yeah, they really went into a renaissance growth about 2 years ago, and then COVID really slowed things down. Like they tore most of Palm Springs down and they rebuilt it. More high-end hotels, more boutique and kind of upscale nightclubs and restaurants. And so, I was starting to notice the change. And of course, they legalized pot. So when they legalized pot, for those of you around the world, so it's legal in California. So they legalized marijuana. Only certain cities still had the option whether they were going to allow dispensaries. Well, Palm Springs is a tourist destination, so they freaking just said, "Hey, dispensaries, come on down." So it's like downtown Palm Springs. It's kind of like restaurant, nightclub, pot store, restaurant, nightclub, dispensary. And so it drew young people to the city. And even during the summer now, it's packed here. And then COVID came and just killed everything. So now I just saw last weekend, we're starting to see it build up again. Now that, the masks have come off in California, we're at 70% vaccine rate. So look, things are really good in our community. And they're going to start up Street Fair again in a couple of weeks. So there is filming moving out here. Mike Tyson's building a giant arena. They're building a concert hockey arena. Coachella's out here for 2 weeks. Stagecoach is out here for 2 weeks. So there seems to, and then the desert has a certain uniqueness in cinematography and the ability to film out here. So even though the Salton Sea is poison and it'll kill you if you fall into it, you can still get some great videos of it, right? So you can get those shots, coming off the water in the morning when the sun's coming up over the mountains. I mean, it looks beautiful, even though obviously, if you go into the water, you'll die. But it's still there's a lot of opportunity to shoot and film out here. And remember, I'm only 2 hours. Well, I'm only 100 miles from LA, so it's easy to get into LA. I got a video. I'm doing a big shoot in Malibu on the 21st, so we're doing a TV commercial there. So it's only a couple hours. I mean, you guys know me. I drive all over the country. I don't really care. And if you're a drone person, if you're a drone pilot, the work is never in your backyard, whether you're doing inspection, solar, cell phone, power line, or even videos like this. You got to drive, you got to go somewhere. So that's just the nature of the industry.
And you are very centrally located. So if you're not familiar with this area, he's in Palm Springs. So for one, it's blistering hot, but centrally located. It is a good place to be located, because that's one of the blessings about California. You're 2 hours away from the beach,
Everything.
the mountains, everything. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. And so, and you've been very fortunate to take advantage of that, huh?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, it would it just I don't want to say everything's right place, right time, and a bit of luck, but truthfully, at least I mean, you have to put in the work, right? And you have to have the skill level. You need to put in the work, but the opportunity is the luck. That's the potential, that something. So the opportunity to move out here and do what I'm doing at this time, I would say that's being in the right place, right time, good opportunity. Maybe I was lucky because of that opportunity. Obviously, I got into television and film because Vanilla Ice crushed my pelvis and my hips, which, on the surface, that's a bad thing. But I probably would have been, Sea-Doo. I raced for Sea-Doo. They probably would have hired me to be some sort of race manager, and my career would have been completely different if I wouldn't have gotten an accident. So it's kind of like, I don't say I made the best of a bad situation, but I was given this opportunity and then I took advantage of that opportunity. So, yeah.
so with all of the different colleges that you are teaching at, can you share a little bit about the programs that you are instructing?
Sure. That's a great question because they're all three of them are different. I created the curriculum. I had a lot of basically I found out a lot of things about public education. They pretty much want to just hire you, and they have their own issues to deal with. So hopefully the person running the course, they'll be like, okay, this is great. So at the Unmanned Vehicle University in Phoenix, that's more of an institutional clients. So they come in for like a 25-hour crash course, right? They come in and it's 7 days intense, 7 days of just intense all day long flying and theory and things like that. And their flight lessons are basically targeted to the industry they're in, whether it's home inspection, power line inspection, or cell phone tower inspection. The facility has their own training ground that has all of those. They have a cell tower, they have power lines, and also sometimes we do get news people. So they're not going to get traditional filmmakers, people that want to be filmmakers or photographers. But we've done a bunch of news, NBC News, Fox News, not the Fox Television, not Fox News, and so the different TV stations come there, and we usually have somewhere between 15 and 20 students, 3 instructors, and so everything is targeted towards them. 25 hours. LA Tech, it's an elective, and it's usually 50 hours. At LA Tech, the process is we want to introduce the students to drone flying and drone flight. And of course, they're specifically cinematography. Students that are in the media classes are encouraged to take the drone course to learn drone cinematography because it is LA Tech. We're right next to the Staples Centers in Los Angeles. There's a lot of filmmaking going on. We're actually between the Staples Center and USC. USC has a great film school. I'm actually going to speak there this summer, some of the film students. So they're encouraged. It's 50 hours. We don't really focus on the 107. We fly on campus. There's a nice area to fly on campus, and it's really targeted towards photography and cinematography. So it's 5 hours, basically just out in the field flying. And a little bit of, it was classroom, but I converted all the classroom to Zoom lessons. And then Grossmont, it's a 105-hour all-immersive course, which involves introduction, theory of flight, the 107. So they have to take the first half of the class is about 40 hours where the 107 is included. Then they have a week to take the test. They have to pass the test to come back. And like I said, I've only had 3 people in all of the classes fail, and 2 of them retook it and passed. I guess because I was such a crappy student in college and high school and all that. I just figured easy ways to get through testing. So I teach the easy ways for the students to get through testing and focusing on the basic knowledge that they'll need when they go out in the real world and fly. So that's 105 hours. Once they've gone through all of the introduction theory and 107 and past that, then we have about 60 hours of flight. So I teach them basic, and then we go into intermediate, then we go into advanced flight. So it's all flight. Then once I'm confident, then we have a flight test. And once I'm confident that they're confident in the handling of the drone, then we go into basic photography and then cinematography. This gives them the opportunity to leave the class and go shoot real estate, whether they can take real estate photos or real estate videos. I have a significant real estate portfolio. I work with 3 major developers in Southern California. So I've gotten very involved in shooting tons and tons and tons of real estate, whether it's residential houses and or commercial. So what I do is I give the basic photography parameters that students need to actually work for a realtor, and I teach them just that. It's like learning how to play the piano by learning how to play one song really good, right? Play one song really good, get on stage, play it, walk off the stage, say thank you very much. So basically these students can shoot the heck out of a house and get paid for it. So at least I know when they're out of here, they can make some money. Then we go into advanced photography and cinematography, which is on the creative side. A lot of students that want to start up their own businesses take that class, and that's where I teach stuff that you would need to learn to shoot mostly like commercials, because that's the low hanging fruit where they can get a job. You know, it's going to be tough to break in like I did and do a video for HBO or something, you know, but they certainly can do local television commercials. They can work for a local advertising boutique. And so I teach them how to correctly film cars. And sometimes we go down to Mission Bay, which is on the water, and show them how to film boats, show them how to film motorcycles and bicyclists and people walking, so that they can create the right filming and framing for doing production work. And that's the course. It's a 105-hour course. So I teach. There's a course every quarter. There's a course at Grossmont. There's a course at LA Tech, and I'm able the colleges work around my schedule so that I'm able to time shift so that one of the colleges aren't in that particular quarter. In other words, all 3 of them aren't happening at the same time. Although it did happen in this February and March, because we were catching up on COVID. So I was working like 7 days a week for 2 months to get all the students caught up so they could all graduate, because I didn't want anybody just sort of left out there hanging in the wind. So we doubled up all the classes at both colleges when the students came back, and I was able to graduate everybody before summer. So that's kind of the course overview. I mean, it is a course overview, not kind of, it is. It's how we do it. It's how we roll out here, you know.
Very impressive, very detailed.
Thanks.
We do have a couple of questions that popped up in our chat. What is the youngest age for your training?
I've actually worked with the Camp of Champs out here through my own. I have a nonprofit called Drone Flyers Academy. I just got my first grant, by the way, which is big that's a big deal. I wrote it myself too, which is even, that's a bigger deal. I wrote the grant myself. So what I did is a couple of years ago, I worked with a company called Camp of Champs. They work with celebrities, and we got about 20 autistic kids. I mean, in a gymnasium with these $50 drones, and I taught them how to fly one day, and then the next day I just let them go. And so my youngest students were 16, and that was them. But normally it's 18. My youngest students are college age, 17, 18.
Gotcha. We have another question here. Hey, Skip, do you have a particular drone camera or camera lens that you use most often?
That's a great question, and it's constantly evolving. So obviously, the key to low budget cinematography and boutique cinematography and production, and the ability for a small studio like myself to get a job doing BMW is when the cameras with the 1-inch sensors come out, right? So 1-inch sensor gives you the ability to actually project your video onto a giant movie screen in beautiful 4K. So I have a Sony mirrorless whatever 1-inch camera, and I have a couple of 1-inch cameras, but they weren't available in drones obviously until the Phantom 4 version 2 came out. And when it came out with a 1-inch sensor, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So finally, you have the same resolution that you need that would match up with your ground cameras. So I got that, and then it even got better because then the Mavic 2 Pro came out, right, with its 1 inch sensor, super quiet, foldable, carrying a little case, and that was my for the last. I got it day one. It came out with the smart controller, so I could see good. And I've been shooting all kinds of stuff with it. I mean, I love it. I freaking love it. It usually matches the, like I said, the, either local TV commercials or low budget video. They're shooting on DSLR cameras. Everybody's shooting on 1 inch sensors. So it was like, this is perfect. So I was filming with that, with the Phantom 4, and I mean, with the Mavic 2 Pro. And then, oh my God, like, but it's still 2 years old. And then, like, what, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, the Mavic 2S came out, or they're calling the Air 2S with the 1 inch sensor and the 5.5K camera in a drone that was only $900. So I take my Mavic 2 Pro and I sell it to a student for like $1,600 because they're still worth $1,800. I mean, it's a Mavic 2 Pro. It's not like I'm just ripping them off. And then I get the Mavic 2 Air S, which is smaller. It's got a better camera. It's got newer technology. And I've been shooting with that. I'm like, wow, this is great. So literally with the Air 2S, the Mavic Air 2S, with the 1 inch sensor, the 5.5K, and all the stuff that comes with it, you can shoot professional broadcast quality, movie quality, video and film and photos. And so I'm like super happy because I made a profit on that deal, even if I made the profit off the student, but whatever, they're still getting a good drone. And then supposedly now, if you read all the rumors, DJI is coming out with maybe the Mavic Pro 3 in September or something. I don't know what they're going to do with that camera. So that's my camera choice. I leave the lens on. I don't even put the filters on. I don't have to put the filters on it. You can adjust the ISOs on those cameras. You can, for down and dirty run and gun, just leave it on auto. The computer brain in these cameras and in the drones, they're going to work fast enough and they're smart enough to know what they're doing. The computers, the AI. But for night shooting and for special shooting, or maybe a director requires something, then it's easy to go manual and go into the ISO settings and the shutter settings and all those kind of things like that. I mean, at nighttime you have to use a long shutter, long exposure, to get the videos, open up, the ISOs to get more exposure, get more light in. Daytime if you're shooting sports. So those drones, the Mavic 2S and of course the Mavic Pro 2 really, and the Mavic Pro 2 even more, really allow you to mess around with camera settings. But that's my drone of choice. And not to knock Autel, I've had the opportunity with the Autel 1 inch, the 6.5K, and that's an outstanding drone also. So I'm not gonna. That's a good camera. I mean, I'm just partial to DJI because I kind of grew up on it, right? I mean, it's like I'm a Mac guy because I've always been a Mac guy. So it's like, I'm not going to get a Windows computer. I'm sorry. Everything's Mac. So it's just like my drones. Everything's DJI. It's just the way it is. And by the way, they don't pay me for any endorsements. They should, though.
They should with that
They
one.
should. That Mavic Mini 2 came out, the Mavic Mini 2 for $600 with a 4K camera. 25 students in my classes bought them because you can, with the Mavic Mini 2, right? The new one, with the 4K camera, you can go out and shoot weddings. You can shoot concerts, events. You can shoot freaking real estate videos and photos all day long. It's amazing to think that you can take a $600 little handheld drone and go out and do, basically local professional video and photography. And, just 6 years ago for me to do the same thing cost me, $2,500. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
And that particular drone is so quiet. When you start thinking about being out there in those conditions, you're doing a wedding or whatever it is, that noise element makes a big difference.
Yes, it really does. The last wedding I did pre-pandemic was in Hawaii, and the couple were on the side of a cliff. So the drone, we had the drone close on the water side, shooting towards the audience or the guests, and then where you could just see the cliff. So it was a really cool shot. But the mother, of course, of the bride kept coming over to me and basically saying the drone was too loud. So I kept flying the drone further and further away from the site. I actually like the farther shots because you could really see the cliff and the water and the people. And then they had cameras, shooting the bride and groom anyway. But yeah, that was fun.
So that's the nice thing about it, that little bit higher perspective, more unique perspective. And that's one of the great things about drones in general. Are you any of your classes offered online as well?
Yeah, actually, yeah. So what happened was when the pandemic came and shut everything down, including my classes at all the colleges. Um, I was starting to play around with Zoom, but yeah, I didn't really care. It was like, why, before the pandemic, why do you need to Zoom? I mean, I was working on some live streaming stuff, but it's mostly for like videos and concerts and sports that I was doing. So I sort of dove into Zoom, and that was when the idea came up for a studio. So I was fortunate enough at that point during the pandemic to grab a spare bedroom my sister had and sort of turn it into the Zoom room, Zoom room. And so I realized that with all of the assets that I had and all of the experience I had in video production, that I could really create interactive video classes for the students, not just, watching a video and looking at it, but more interactive, more the ability to do multiple cameras and multiple, I actually do like, and so so what I did was I pitched Grossmont and LA Tech on a Zoom course where I could replace the inside classroom study with the Zoom lessons. Now I got to tell you, I don't know the last time any of you stepped into public education, but the computers I used at Grossmont were probably from 1980. They have the little cursor blinking and the text is green and the Wi-Fi never worked. And it was just, there was, I'm drawing on a shoot. I don't even think we had a whiteboard. I think I actually had a blackboard with chalk. So, so it was really tough it wasn't easy. And so I created the Zoom course, including the 107 training, videos, examples of almost everything I did, questions and answers, digital whiteboard. And I can say this for sure. With regards to the 107, so we started the Zoom last year during the pandemic. The college let me start it. Right when they shut it down, a month later, I presented it to everybody, and they said, "Yeah, this is good. It'll work." So I converted that. So it's interesting because my average, the my average 107 scores were probably, I had a lot in the 70s and then in the 80s, and then you have a few in the 90s. When we switched to Zoom, I had a lot in the 90s, a few in the 80s, and hardly any in the 70s. So their score averages went way up. And I can only say it's because, for those that were paying attention, the interactive, the videos, the ability to do it with the Zoom. So when it was so successful with that, I was like, okay, fine. And so I started adding photography classes on Zoom and cinematography classes on Zoom. And I actually, it was easier for me to do the presentation by showing examples, by showing cameras. I have a live streaming box. I don't know if you've seen this with Autel, but I have an Autel, I have an Evo 1. I can fly it and send live video to the Zoom, and I can actually show students in real time what I'm doing, fly it right out my window. I'm set up to do that here also. So I can plug in well, not yet, obviously I'm in a void, but I'll be able to plug in these drones, the DJI and the Autel, and be able to show them, the an example if a student asks. So Zoom actually, the pandemic actually, I mean, it's been good for some people. I'm not saying the pandemic's been good, but it forced me to dive into this technology and create these videos and create this interactive course and do all these Zoom things. So yeah, and I have my own social media site for student graduates and for friends. It's private. It's called Drone Connects. And on Drone Connects, what we do is it's 400 members strong. And I occasionally do free photography courses, free cinematography courses, advanced courses, drone updates. So, and we have, as you know, Desi, because you've been there, we do fun fly-ins on Mission Bay at the beaches in San Diego. I do advanced photography courses and cinematography courses. It comes through Drone Connects, where people watch the Zoom and then we go out in the field. So there's that. Some of them, a lot of them are free. They're just ways for former students to advance their studies. And some of them that are really hard and take a lot to put together, I charge money for, because there's a lot of costs involved. And even though I have a charity, I'm not a charity. So it's like, if something's going to cost me $3,000 or $4,000 to do it, I certainly would like to pass that cost on to the students. But I try to keep the more advanced stuff in the $300 to $350 range, which is, much less expensive than anything else. Well, I know they won't find anything like that. I mean, there's nobody teaching advanced night photography, cinematography. There are night courses, but not specific to cinematography and photography. I'm working with the stunt coordinator I told you about. We're going to create a stunt school. We're going to teach students how to fly their drones, chasing, filming cars and car chases. We're going to teach them how to use, guns, movie guns, guns that they use in the movies. We're going to teach them how to fight. We're going to show them these basic scenes, fighting guns and car chases, and then we're going to let them, once they learn how to do it, then we're going to show them, then they're going to film it with drones. So they're end up going to be a second unit director, second unit photographers. So, we're working all that. And that came from Zoom. And that's kind of some of the stuff we are able to offer now that I'm able to offer online, but that wasn't really available before. So that's kind of cool.
Wow, sign me up for that one.
It'll be fun. Oh,
That
it's going to be
sounds like
fun.
a lot of fun.
It's
So
going to be a lot of fun.
can I post the link to your Drone Connects?
Yeah. This is so Drone Connects is private. Students are automatically enrolled in it. I don't sell advertising. I don't let people post any advertising unless they're part of their members. Obviously, Women in Drones is a big part of that. So they're involved with it. I try to make an extensive effort to recruit the ladies on my site to be part of Women in Drones because they do so much, for the ladies out there. I know a lot of the girls have. I believe I'm working on, I'm going to be on, we're going to have a cover. I did the back page of the Women in Joe magazine, I guess, whenever it was, I forgot. But I'm going to do the front page, and I'm going to feature 4 of my top women students that have gone through the classes and ended up starting their own businesses or working for companies. So that's going to be kind of cool. So yeah, you can put that up. And what I do is for people that, like everybody here on this seminar, because they're part of what I'm doing, then they're allowed to join for free, or they're allowed to join. There's no cost. It's just that we don't, I don't want it to be Facebook, God forbid, face groups, or I don't want it to be Twitter. I want it to be people that have common bond, common knowledge, help each other out. We do a lot of these group things. I mean, obviously, some people that are watching now from around the world, it's not like you can just zip into San Diego and hang out, or the Salton Sea and in the desert when we start doing our desert safaris in the winter. But I try to do that for the people that are members. We just try to go out and everybody helps everybody, which is kind of neat too.
Awesome. So can you share a little bit about some of the night photography that you have done? Speaking of the desert and being out there.
Yeah. So what happened was I did this. I have an Inspire 2. And believe it or not, the camera isn't as good. They're old now. Inspire 2s are like, what, 5 years old? They're ancient. So I gave up on using the Inspire 2 for filming, but we actually use it in movies for stunt scenes. So a lot of times when there's a drone chasing a good guy or a bad guy, I use the Inspire because it's just so intimidating and it's big and it's very photogenic, right? So nothing like having Inspire chasing a car down the street. But what also we do with it is we mount lights. I use Fox Fury lights because they're really good people. I work with them forever. And we take their lights and we mount them. We mount four of them to the bottom of the Inspire, and they're aimed down. So what's this is when you go out in, let's say, a desert or somewhere that's really dark. What's really cool is by the drone being overhead, and it can be overhead 100 feet, it lights this like perfect circle around your talent or whatever it is that you're shooting. And you can't really get that with a light that's on the ground because there's always some kind of a shadow. But with the light straight up, straight down overhead, it gives you this, and everything's black around it. It gives you a really unique look for filming. And by doing that, by putting this drone overhead and creating a bubble of light, you can actually take ground cameras and put them just outside of the light cone and get these really cool shots and not see the cameras or the cameramen that are shooting it. So we show people how to do that, and then what we do with the night photography is we do light painting. So what the students do is they come and I teach them how to use the photo settings. And to do light painting, you need to do these long exposures. And most of the drones will shoot. The Mavic Pro 2 will keep its shutter open for 8 seconds. So you can get this really cool light, what they call light painting, which is basically the shutter stays open and whatever light you're moving around will leave a trail. So we get the racing drones, the ones that go really fast, and we put lights on them. And what we do is we zip them around our subject or our talent or whatever it is that we want to film. And it creates these bands of light around them, and then we shoot those with the drones, and the photography is amazing. It's just, it'll blow you away. It's just the craziest thing you've ever seen. And so then what we can do is with video, we can do long exposures. What you do is you bring the exposure down really slow, and you get the similar light trails, but you get it in video. As a matter of fact, um, the a lot of the DJI drones will simulate that in that hyperlight setting. So those of you who have DJI drones, when you put the drone in hyperlights, what it does is it's taking all these rapid pictures and then it bleeds them all together, and then you can see those light trails. So that's what we're creating with a long exposure. We're creating that with the cameras, and we Desi was there. She was I guess you would be like flight boss, flight assistant, help me through the whole project. And we had 25 people there. It was the craziest thing. We were in the middle of the desert, Borrego Springs, at nighttime, where these giant, like, 1-story sculptures are out there. And it was fun. It was eerie. We had smoke machines and laser lighting. But all of that, selfishly speaking, all of that was for me to experiment more and more on night filming because of this video I'm doing for Estra Anaya, which is going to be using all these techniques that basically I was trying out on the students to see if they worked. So it's great to have student guinea pigs, as opposed to me going out and hiring a bunch of people and paying like, $200 a pilot. It's better to have a bunch of students there and just, let me figure it out how it works with them. So that's how the night stuff is going. And we got another one coming up, right? We haven't set a date yet. We're trying to figure it out. I mean, it's been brutally hot here in California, like 120 degrees 2 days ago in Palm Springs, 125 in Havasu. I mean, these are like crazy numbers that are 20 degrees above normal. So the concept of going out in the desert, even at night when it's like 100, that's really not, it's not like on my top to-do list. So we'll come up with that. We'll figure that out at some point.
So how do you conduct your classes in this type of heat?
Oh, I don't. The drone. I'm filming. I have a contract with a developer that's putting up. Not only does Palm Springs allow the dispensaries, but across the highway in a city called Desert Hot Springs, they allow the indoor pot farms. So there's so much money coming into this area now. What they're doing is they're building giant warehouses that are solar powered and wind powered, because growing hydroponically pot uses a lot of electric. So these are self-sustained developments. And so I work with the developer, and I'm shooting each of the warehouses going up. So once a month I go there and I take pictures, I take videos, sort of like it'll be extended, time lapse thing. And I had to shoot at 8 o'clock in the morning 2 days ago, or 7:30, because as soon as the sun came up, practically, because it was already 95 degrees. So I've had Phantom 4 batteries and Mavic 2 batteries, pop, expand in temperatures of 90 degrees. So at this temperature, what we do is we head down to Mission Bay, pull our cars right up to the water where it's 74 degrees, put the drones up, and have a nice day of flying. That's on the water in San Diego for you international people.
Yes, a beautiful day out on the beach, flying a drone. Boy, it just doesn't get better than that, right?
Doesn't, oh, it did get better. We got pizza.
No
So
way.
right around,
Oh, okay.
that's right, right around 11 o'clock, we got like 10 pies. So we just did this last week. It was just everybody needed to get away from the heat, so we headed to the beach. So yeah, we had drone flying, tailgating, pizza party. It was a
Yeah,
blast.
sounds like a perfect day.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
So we only have about just a little over 10 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions, make sure you drop those into the chat or on mic and ask your questions, because you want to take advantage of Skip and all his knowledge while he's here, right? And so Skip, can you share, you had mentioned in the very start of this about a grant. Can you talk a little bit more about that whole grant and the process that you said you did it yourself?
Yeah, there's the organization that I work with, Campa Champs, who I did we did the autistic kids and taught them all how to fly drones. They also work with the Wounded Warriors. I shoot the Wounded Warriors golf tournament every year here. Obviously, it's celebrities and former military veterans. So it's a good cause, but that when it hooks you up with a lot of other charities in the community. And so we did the thing with the Campa Champs. They work with a company called America's Children's Fund, and here in the Valley. And So he's gotten the grant several years, and it's through his sports program. So the idea is he has a sports program, and then throughout the grant period, he has classes where he teaches volleyball or basketball and brings out celebrities to be part of that. And he said, this drone thing is really big, and the technology is really big, and you did, the class we did with the autistic kids worked out really well. You should just write what you do and submit it to this organization. So I basically said, here's who I am. Here's my portfolio. Here's my background. Here's what I am. Here's what I've been teaching. Here's what I did. I'm now in the community. I have a Drone Flyers Academy as a nonprofit. I have a business in the community now at the office, because you have to be community. You have to be in the community. You have to have a business, and you have to be a nonprofit. So you have to be here. It's not like, when I was in Hollywood, I got it done. I wrote it all up. And basically, in addition to just, writing all of the wonderful good things I'm going to do and examples of what I've done, I just basically put in my flyer, okay, here's a flyer from the courses. And they notified everybody 2 weeks ago. And they have a little ceremony in town. I think it's July 1st or 2nd. And they give me a check. And I'll be able to take about 20 students, 20 young people, through a drone course, and get them each a tello. So we'll get them a tello, and they'll learn how to fly. And I'll spend, I think the way the grant works, I'll spend like 3 days with them, like 4 hours, 4 hours a day. It's pretty easy. Once you give them the basics, it's just like, go fly here, just hit go and have a good time. And I'll schedule that, the first one, probably in September.
Wow, what an
Yeah, it was a
amazing
big deal.
opportunity too.
Yeah,
That's
it was a
good.
big deal. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, I have people working with me, like, Apollo, the former dean in charge of the work study program over at Grossmont College. She's left to pursue many opportunities that he's been offered up, and he is working with me on future grants for Drone Flyers Academy. So and we have partnered up on creating an actual. Well, I have a Roku TV channel called Drone TV, which got approved about 4 years ago when I was doing drone racing. And
That's on my
as
shirt.
what?
That's on my shirt.
Yeah, yes, it is the Drone Race
It is.
TV. So Drone
Yeah.
Race TV, yeah, it was very successful. I did 15,000 viewers a week. This is when racing drones first came out. I got Sports Illustrated did stories on me. NBC Sports did stories on me. I mean, we were the first ones to break it. Roku's a television platform, which is great. It's not YouTube. It's not streaming. It's not any of that crap. It's TV. It was very successful, but the drone racing industry really had its own issues, and I basically wanted to get out of it. And it wasn't going anywhere. The sanctioning bodies that were sanctioning it were poorly run. So, but to become a content producer for Roku, you have to go through quite a process. So I held on to the channels. So you actually get 4 channels in your account. So what we're going to do is Paulo and I are working on workforce television, where we're going to give the opportunity to students in television and film across the country, in colleges, the ability to place content on the television channel. And what I'll do is, prior to them placing the content, they'll have to go through a small course to understand the standards, television standard, broadcast standards, to make sure that their programming meets all the requirements and quality. So basically, it'll be a step for them towards broadcasting, and they'll be on Roku TV, which again is television. So it's really cool to watch, my programming on TV as opposed to watching it on a computer monitor or something like that. So I'm working with Paulo on that. Fortunately, now that he's retired, I don't know, what is he, like 20? I don't know. Paulo's young. Well, fortunately, I have him working with me, and he's got a lot of spare time now as he takes a look at, the potential opportunities that have been, for him. And he's a super great guy, and he was a great boss, and he's obviously somebody really, really great to work with. I mean, I enjoy him a lot. And he taught me how to write the grant. I mean, he basically gave me, the information, or explained to me what they would be looking for, because he writes so many grants.
Gotcha. So as we get ready to wrap things up, we've got about 5 minutes left here. I've asked anybody to go ahead and ask any last minute questions, take advantage of the situation, chatting with you. So what is your most memorable part of being in the drone industry? I know you've got so many different things that you're doing, but what is one of the most memorable or exciting things that you've done?
Wow, that's a good. You know, I'd have, well, I'd have to say the first one. I'd have to say being with my friends and the stunt coordinator up in the Los Angeles forest with 20, 25 stuntmen, half playing, combat guys and half playing space aliens, and having just not knowing what the heck I was doing and having the drone fly all over the place. And then after that catastrophe, having the head of sci-fi come to me and say, "Hey, this is the coolest thing we ever did. Here's a whole list of film crews I want you to work for." So the first one was probably really, I think, maybe the most exciting production I did. And then working, I'm in, look, I'm in Hollywood, so I've lived in Hollywood for 20 years. You don't have to, you don't have to it's obviously where my political persuasions are. So when I had the opportunity to work with Al Gore and document the Salton Sea on an environmental side, that was a really exciting opportunity to kind of bring awareness to what's going on with the environment and maybe help it out. So California is working on trying to save the water, save the lake, and they're using my video. I've seen my videos all over the place, the aerial shots that I did. So that's kind of cool. So that's a cool thing. So I had fun. I had fun on my first shoot. And then, of course, I work with Sinbad a lot. Did you meet him at the trade shows? So Dawn, I know, is on this. So I taught Sinbad how to fly drones, right? I've taught a lot of celebrities, but Sinbad was the most fun, obviously. Sinbad's a comedian, and his son is a music video producer, director. His son's super talented. So I taught him how to fly drones, and I taught his son how to fly drones. And we've done some projects together that are hilarious. And then, of course, he comes to the trade shows all the time. So, there's that. That's a fun thing. But I've done stuff for Fear the Walking Dead and HBO Sopranos, Fast and Furious, concert videos, like I said. So the Hermosa Beach Games, Huntington Beach Games. It's kind of like Nelly Furtada. So I mean, it's kind of like you don't think of it because it's your everyday job. Just sit there and drop a list of names. Plus, you don't want to be, you don't want to be that producer. You don't want to be the guy. You don't want to be a guy in the bar in Hollywood that wants you to know who he's worked with just so that you buy him a drink, I guess, or sake. I don't know. So but those are my most fun ones.
Ah, sounds pretty fun to me. So you have been a strong supporter for women in drones, and we truly appreciate that. I know since the beginning you've partnered with us in our coffee connections that we've done and such like that. What have you seen as far as changes? You said you had a lot of women that sign up for your program and such. So what kind of changes are you seeing as far as women in the industry?
Well, honestly, when I first started teaching, I didn't have any women. I mean, so if you go back 4 years ago, it was all guys. I think I have one woman, one lady. Funny thing is, she's the president of the Chamber of Commerce and just had me out on her 50-foot yacht last weekend. So I stay in touch with her. So she just wanted to learn how to do it for fun. But I have definitely, and then of course, with women and drones, we go right back to the beginning. Also, I remember shooting their first luncheon, which was nice because they fed me, and that was awesome. So at the trade show, and they're just, they're just the best ever. And I was pretty much raised by my mom. So I mean, my dad was around, but he was a 7-day a week working guy, and my mom was very creative and artistic and stuff like that. So, and in the different careers that I've had, I've worked with a lot of women, and I was really, because drones, they're gender neutral. I mean, you don't have to. It's not physical, and and I find, and so each year, more and more, female students were showing up. And I mean, again, college age from 18 to 40, some wanting to change their career. A lot of them, realtors at first were the first ones. A lot of the women that were taking my class were in traditionally women careers. So students starting out that didn't know what they were doing, women that were realtors, people that had boutique photography places. I work with, wedding planners and women that were in traditional women careers were starting to see drones as an avenue to expand what they were already doing. So I was like in the first couple of years, but in the last couple of years, and specifically this year, where my classes were almost 50-50, The women came in just to learn about drones. It wasn't specific to I have a wedding company, or I have a photography company, or I have a real estate company. I had women that were coming in and saying, this career looks exciting. I don't think I'll have a problem doing it. I don't know where it's going to go. And I want to learn everything I can about it. Interestingly enough, out of that class, I have women now that are going into hardcore inspections, like cell phone towers. I have some that have started up their own photography, cinematography company. I have one that's doing solar panel inspections, construction. So what they've done is they, in the last 2 years, and again, this year specifically, where it was 50-50, they came to me to learn about the drones and what the potentials are for working in that industry, and not necessarily as part of. So that's the biggest change that I've seen, coming to me to learn about it, and not coming to me to add it to whatever it is that they were already doing.
Wow, nice segue. Very
Thank
nice
you.
segue. Yes. So yes, women have an important place in this industry and have a lot to offer. So
Well, I want to add this one thing, and I do it every trade show, I do it every seminar, and I do it at the beginning of the classes. And I had to check with HR services at the college to make sure I wasn't offending anybody. So, but women make better pilots than men right off the bat, right in the beginning. And I keep trying to figure it out why. And I'll say there's. So I think I've come up with two reasons. One is, and women listen. You know, guys don't listen. Guys are like, yeah, 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 yeah. I know how to do that. I know how to do that. Guys are always like, they always know how to do everything, right? But the women actually listen, and their flight movements are slower and smoother. It's the constant. The first day of flying or the second day of flying, I'm always yelling to the guys, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. I mean, it's all day long. But I ask the women just, do it slow and smoothly, and their flights are always like that. So they're just more precise. Um, they're calmer for sure, and they listen. So I mean, I don't know how sexist or not that sounds. And if you're a guy, oh well, too bad. That's just, that's my research on teaching 500 students. So it's fact based. It's not just a preference. It's just kind of, what I see from teaching. So, and I have, I've booked a lot of the students, female students, to work with me or work for me. So they're VOs, they're second unit pilots, they're all that kind of stuff like that. Anyway,
I've
that's
seen
that's
the
that's
same thing. I
that's just a
can,
thing.
I've seen the same thing in my classes as well. So thank you so much, so much. Skip, can you put any contact information into the chat if somebody wanted to reach out to you and ask you
Yeah,
more
you can. I
questions?
mean, I can put the microphone down here and put, obviously, you can put it in. Anybody, you can put my email,
Okay.
right,
Yeah.
and droneconnects.com.
I
But
did put the drone connects in there, so I will.
right,
Uh,
and my email. I mean, uh, I answer my emails. I don't. Well, maybe not today because I'm still working on the office and waiting for them to come. But I definitely answer my emails pretty quickly if possible. Oh, so everybody, if you have the opportunity, I'm going to be at InterDrone. I'm speaking in 2 seminars. I'm on a panel. I think Women in Drones and us are right next to each other. It's going to be exciting, right? One of the first trade shows coming back. Even though it is in Dallas, I prefer Vegas, and who doesn't? I mean, Dallas is great. No offense if you're from Texas, but I mean, it's not Vegas. Nothing is Vegas. And then I'll be at Commercial Drone Expo also. That is in
that
Vegas.
is in Vegas.
That is in Vegas. I have a booth there. I'm not speaking there for some reason. They're like anti-cinematography, photography. They're all about, missiles and autonomous flight and all this other stuff. Very well, I guess they are called the Commercial Drone Expo, but for some reason, I don't know why, but they don't think that professional cinematography and photography is commercial. But I'll leave that for another debate.
Okay.
Anyway,
So is it the S Fredricks at yahoo.com? Because I got that. I could put that in there.
S Fredricks at Yacht. That's it.
That's it. All
That's it.
right. There we go. So if you want to reach out to him, we just cannot thank you enough. Thank you for all the support you've given to women in drones, for coming and sharing with us all across the world in South Africa today. Thank you. And I look forward to sharing more in the future. All right.
Thank you
Bye.
so much,
Thanks,
everybody.
Skip.
Bye
See you
bye.
soon.
Okay, thank you, thank you,
Bye.
thank you for writing all the nice stuff in the chat. I didn't want to put my glasses on, so I could look good, but now anyway, I can read everything. Thank you, Dawn. Dawn works with me. She's the best. Without her, I wouldn't know what the heck I was doing. See, that's why I have a woman that's that manages all of this. So
There we
anyway,
go.
if you're going to the trade shows, everybody, I'll see you soon. If you want to sign up for Joan Connects, we'll take care of that. Desi, I love you. I'll see you at the next. I'll see you at the next fly-in on Mission Beach.
Yes, sounds good.
We
All
need to
right.
cool off. It's
Bye.
too hot.
I
All right,
know.
I'll
Great.
let you end this thing. You're in charge. You can close it. Press the
All
button.
right.
End it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.